Thanks so much, Scott. Federal regulators are looking to finalize a provision in Dodd-Frank that could shut out as many as 40% of potential home buyers and potentially slow the housing recovery. A new provision would require a down payment of 20% for high-quality residential loans. Republican Senator Johnny Isakson of Georgia ran a residential real estate company for 20 years. He's leading a bipartisan group of senators who oppose that provision, and he joins us in Atlanta. Senator, good to have you back. Good morning.
Good to be with you, Carl. Thanks.
You know, a lot of people might say, what's wrong with 20%? I paid 20%. Walk us through why this is such a problem.
Well, historically in America, the down payment has been the insurance on down payment and quality has been a combination of private mortgage insurance or credit enhancement and down payment. 20% down is a large number for most Americans. In fact, as you said, about 40% of the American buyers would be shut out of the market. And the worst thing is capital would shrink in terms of being attracted to the mortgage market. The whole reason this is a problem is the Dodd-Frank bill required a risk retention provision on mortgages. And if the rule requires 20% down or else the bank has to hold 5% risk retention, that's going to shrink capital coming in the mortgage market.
How are you trying to cut this off at the pass?
We're trying to use the old definition, which works just fine, and that is use private mortgage insurance to insure that portion of the 20% that's not covered by the cash down payment, but require a down payment of no less than 5%. So you always have skin in the game, and you have credit enhancement in terms of private mortgage insurance to lay over that credit.
Yeah, and that sort of leads to the broader point. I mean, people may believe that in order to prevent us from going back into a crisis, you want to see down payments at a maybe higher level than in the past. But you argue that it was actually the poor underwriting that got us into trouble, not people paying too little on their down payment, right?
That's exactly right. And to the credit of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, Mr. Cordray, they just issued the qualified mortgage rule, which put in standards for underwriting to return us back to the good old days of the 80s and 70s in terms of ratios that made sense. That was a great move by the Fed. This move on underwriting and having credit and having risk retention would be a bad rule because it would risk mortgage availability and reduce it around the board.
Any projections on what it might do to average selling prices, sale of existing homes or new homes for that matter?
Well, when you reduce demand, it makes softness on prices. We've gone through a period of time of a great decline. We've hit bottom. We're beginning to come out in some markets around the country. If you pull 40% of the demand in a weak market out, you go back and have a double dip in housing, and that'd be bad for the country and bad for the economy.
Changing gears a bit here, Senator, the debt ceiling obviously getting the lion's share of attention in Washington, although that might change at the top of the hour when the president talks about gun control. What is your projection on how this is all going to go down, whether it is an outright default, a shutdown of the government? Do either of those things seem very likely to you?
Neither of them are good things to have happen, but the president is going to have to be willing to talk about spending. We addressed the revenue issue on the bill that we passed January 1st in the Congress. We've now put the revenue issue to bed. It's time we put the spending issue to bed. We have to begin to cut our discretionary spending and reform our entitlement programs if we ever hope to reduce our national debt and get more in balance in this country. And if you just continue to extend the debt limit without restricting spending, you're going to have yourself where you have compound interest on negative debt, which is wrong for the United States of America.
And then finally on gun control, Senator, we'll see what the president says at the top of the hour. He is expected to lay out some legislative proposals, some executive steps to prevent gun violence. Is it clear to you that anything of what he's going to propose will get through the Senate, much less the House?
I don't think bans on weapons or bans on cartridges will get through the House or the Senate. We did that in 1994 for 10 years on assault weapons, and Columbine took place right in the middle of that. We realized the common thread running through these shootings are mental health issues. I think it's more likely to see a focus on background checks and a mental health registry rather than restriction on any access to the Second Amendment right to bear arms.
Senator, always good to talk to you. We'll be watching your Falcons as well. Can't imagine what that's done to your home state.
It's the town is hopping, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'll bet. Senator Johnny Isakson, thanks so much.
Thanks.